Did you see her dress? It looks like something from last season. She doesn't even belong in this family. Andrew could have done so much better. They whispered. They mocked. They laughed at the bride on the night before her wedding, never realizing the woman they were ridiculing was holding their future in her hands. This is the story of how one family's arrogance collided with a truth they were never prepared to face. The ballroom at the prestigious Rosewood Hotel in Manhattan gleamed with gold chandeliers, polished marble floors, and guests dressed in tuxedos and designer gowns. It was supposed to be the happiest night of Elena Carter's life, the night she married the man she had loved for 3 years, Andrew Wallace, heir to the Wallace family's real estate empire. Yet as she stood by the grand staircase in her elegant satin gown, the murmurs around her weren't of admiration, but ridicule. Did you see her dress? It looks like something from last season. I can't believe Andy's marrying her. She doesn't even look like she belongs here. She's so plain. No wonder she never talks much. The voices were sharp whispers, but Elena heard them all. They weren't strangers' comments either. They were Andrew's cousins, his aunts, his family. Every time she turned, she caught the cold smirks, the rolling eyes, the judgment. Welcome to Black Community Stories. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch stories. Andrew, oblivious or maybe just ignoring it, laughed with his groomsmen across the hall. Elena's fingers tightened around the bouquet she held. She tried to smile, tried to remind herself that tonight was about love, not about approval. But the mockery kept slicing through her like broken glass. By the time the rehearsal dinner started, it had gotten worse. At the long oak table filled with champagne glasses and candlelight, Andrew's mother leaned toward her sister and said loud enough for the table to hear, "Well, I suppose anyone can put on a white dress and pretend, but we all know she's no match for our family's name." Elena swallowed hard, her throat burning. Andrew didn't defend her, not once. He chuckled nervously, raised his glass, and changed the subject. To his family, Elena was invisible, or worse, a joke. When dessert came, Andrew's younger cousin, a man in his 20s with too much wine in his system, leaned over and whispered, "So tell me, how does it feel knowing you'll never really fit in with us?" His laugh was cruel, his words soaked in arrogance. Elena froze. For the first time that night, her face hardened. She didn't reply. She just looked at him with a calmness that made him shift uncomfortably. But the family didn't stop. The whispers turned to outright mockery once Andrew excused himself to take a phone call. His aunt leaned forward, pretending to smile but letting venom drip from her tongue. "Sweetheart, don't take it personally. You're just not the type of woman we imagined for Andy. He deserves someone polished, someone from our world, not—" She paused, glancing at Elena's simple jewelry. "This." The table chuckled. Elena lowered her gaze, hiding the fire building inside her. No one there knew who she really was. No one knew the name she had deliberately chosen to hide, the empire she had walked away from, or the power she quietly carried. When Andrew returned, she plastered on a polite smile, as though nothing had happened. But her heart was no longer soft. It was steel. She sat there, listening, memorizing every insult, every sneer, and behind her calm face, a decision was already taking shape. The Wallace family had no idea that tonight their laughter had just signed a silent contract, one that would change everything they thought they knew about her, and about their future. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. The night after the rehearsal dinner, Elena lay in the penthouse suite of the hotel, staring at the ceiling. The chandelier above her glimmered faintly, but her thoughts were far from romantic. She replayed every word, every snicker, every moment when Andrew's family mocked her like she was nothing. Andrew had kissed her cheek before heading off to his bachelor party with friends, whispering, "Don't take them too seriously. They're just protective." Protective. Elena almost laughed. No, it wasn't protection. It was contempt. And Andrew had done nothing to stop it. That realization dug deeper than the insults themselves. Morning came with a storm outside. Thunder rolled above Manhattan as Elena walked to the floor-length mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, elegant but worn. She brushed her hair back, her eyes narrowing. Enough was enough. At breakfast, the family gathered again in the hotel's private dining hall. The Wallace clan filled the room with chatter. Waiters moved between tables, serving omelets and coffee, but the air was thick with condescension. Andrew's sister, Victoria, set her cup down with a loud clink. "Elena, darling, are you sure you're ready for this? I mean, managing this family isn't exactly for amateurs." She gave a pointed smile that made the rest of the women at the table chuckle. Elena stirred her tea, unfazed. "I suppose we'll find out," she said softly. Victoria leaned closer, her perfume sharp. "Don't take it personally. You're just not exactly one of us. But don't worry, we'll help you adjust, assuming you can handle the pressure." Andrew's uncle, seated across the table, added, "She should be grateful she's even marrying into this family. Do you know how many women would die for this spot?" The table roared with laughter. Andrew, late as usual, walked in halfway through, patting his brother's shoulder as if everything were normal. He kissed Elena lightly, but never noticed the growing wall between her and his family. The storm outside cracked loud, and Elena almost smiled at the timing. The air felt like it mirrored the storm inside her chest. Later that day, she took a walk outside, pulling her coat tighter against the drizzle. She slipped into a quiet cafe 2 blocks from the hotel, needing air that wasn't tainted with arrogance. The barista greeted her warmly, and for once she felt like a human being again. She ordered a cappuccino and sat by the window. Her phone buzzed. A private message. She glanced down, and her jaw tightened. It was from her assistant, someone she had told to keep her name buried while she tried to live a normal life. "Reminder, tomorrow's board meeting has been moved to next week. The merger documents are ready. They're waiting on your final approval, Miss Carter." Her name, her real name, Elena Carter. The heiress to Carter Global Industries, a powerhouse with investments across technology, finance, and infrastructure. A company with assets worth over $500 million and growing. No one in the Wallace family knew, not Andrew, not his mother, not the smug cousins. She had hidden it carefully, testing Andrew's love, wanting to be sure he wanted her, not her money. But the laughter from last night replayed again and again. They thought she was beneath them. They thought she was a charity case, lucky to be invited into their circle. They had no idea the very air they breathed in their luxurious hotels, their office towers, their yachts. Much of it existed because of her empire's investments. She closed her phone slowly, taking a sip of her coffee. The bitter taste felt right. When she returned to the hotel that evening, The family was already preparing for a pre-wedding cocktail event. The ballroom glittered with champagne towers and string music. Guests mingled, laughter spilling everywhere. But as Elena entered, conversations hushed. Andrew's mother, dressed in pearls, approached with a stiff smile. "Elena, dear," she said, her tone sugar-coated poison. "Tomorrow is a very big day. I hope you're ready. Our family has a certain reputation to uphold. We just want to be sure you can rise to it." Elena's lips curved into the faintest smile. "I understand perfectly." Inside, her decision hardened. Tomorrow wasn't just going to be a wedding. It was going to be a revelation. The cocktail event was buzzing with laughter, polished shoes clicking against marble, and chandeliers throwing golden light across the room. Elena walked in gracefully, her black curls pinned neatly, her deep brown skin glowing under the soft light. Her gown shimmered with understated elegance, nothing flashy, nothing begging for attention. But she didn't need jewels to shine. She carried herself with quiet power. Still, as she made her way through the ballroom, the eyes followed her. Some widened in subtle surprise, some narrowed with quiet judgment. The whispers returned, sharper than champagne bubbles. "Imagine him marrying her. She doesn't look like she belongs in this room. Andrew could have done better. She's just not our type." The words sliced Elena's calm, though her face gave nothing away. For years she had faced these looks, on the street, in boardrooms where she'd been underestimated, in classrooms where professors doubted her. But tonight was different. Tonight the scorn came from the very people who were supposed to be family. Andrew's aunt, elegantly dressed in emerald silk, leaned toward her husband and said, "She's pretty, I'll give her that. But Andrew is tying himself to a woman who doesn't fit our world. She's not like us." Her husband chuckled, shaking his head. "It won't last." Elena tightened her grip on her clutch, her nails digging into the fabric. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. Victoria, Andrew's sister, swept across the room and gave Elena a sharp smile. "You look nice," she said, her tone drenched in false kindness. Then she leaned closer and whispered, "But let's be honest, everyone here is thinking it. You'll never truly be one of us, not with your background, not with everything." Her eyes flicked deliberately over Elena's skin before she walked away. Elena's chest burned. She had spent her life proving people wrong, rising through ranks, building her empire, commanding boardrooms filled with men who doubted her. She had thought Andrew was different. He had loved her without seeing her as an accessory or a statement. But his silence in the face of his family's cruelty, it spoke volumes. Across the room, Andrew was laughing with his cousins, raising a glass like the night was perfect. Elena studied him carefully, his easy smile, his relaxed posture, his willful blindness. He hadn't noticed the storm brewing around her. Or worse, he had chosen not to. The string quartet's music swelled, but all Elena heard was the pounding of her own heart. Her assistant's message still echoed in her mind. $500 million merger. They're waiting on your approval, Miss Carter. They mocked her, as if she was nothing, as if she was beneath them. They didn't know she had the power to flip their empire upside down, with a single signature. A waiter passed by, offering her champagne. She took one, swirling the golden liquid as if she were just another bride enjoying her night. But her thoughts were sharp, her silence deliberate. Every word of mockery had become fuel. Every smirk had become a line in her memory, and tomorrow, on what was supposed to be her wedding day, those same voices would echo in a room where the truth could no longer be hidden. For now, she smiled politely, clinked glasses with strangers, and endured the show. But deep inside, Elena Carter, black, brilliant, and far more powerful than they could imagine, was done playing the role of the outsider. The storm outside hadn't passed. It was only gathering strength. The morning of the wedding broke with a heavy gray sky over Manhattan. Rain streaked the tall hotel windows, blurring the city skyline into a watercolor haze. Inside the Rosewood Ballroom, florists rushed, photographers adjusted their equipment, and guests in expensive attire trickled in, umbrellas in hand. The air buzzed with anticipation. Elena sat quietly in the bridal suite, the satin of her gown flowing around her. Her hands were steady as she applied a final touch of lipstick. There was no trembling, no nervous jitters, only calm determination. Her maid of honor, her best friend Aisha, glanced at her from across the room. "You good?" she asked gently. Elena met her eyes in the mirror and gave a small nod. Better than good. The door cracked open, and Andrew's mother slipped in, her pearl necklace gleaming against her pale skin. She didn't smile. "I thought I'd check on you before we begin," she said. Her voice clipped. Her gaze scanned Elena from head to toe. "Well, I suppose you've done the best you can with what you have." Elena's jaw tightened. She said nothing. Andrew's mother walked closer, lowering her voice. "Let me be honest with you, Elena. You should know. Many of us never thought this match was fitting. Our family has built a legacy, generations of wealth, power, and standing. And you—" She paused, her eyes narrowing ever so slightly. "You come from a world far removed from ours. I'm not sure you understand what it means to carry the Wallace name." Elena turned in her chair, facing her directly now. "I understand more than you think," she said evenly. For a moment, Andrew's mother hesitated, as though something in Elena's eyes unsettled her. But then she gave a cold smile, patted her shoulder, and walked out without another word. Aisha exhaled sharply. "Girl, I swear, if I were you, I'd have said something." Elena interrupted softly. "Not yet." Downstairs, the guests filled the rows of chairs, the sound of whispers and rustling programs rising with the music. The Wallace family moved gracefully among the guests, their polished smiles barely covering their smug confidence. They believed this was their stage, their moment of triumph. Andrew stood at the altar, looking handsome in his tailored suit, flashing a grin that never quite reached his eyes. But in the back, as Elena prepared to walk down the aisle, her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it quickly. Another message from her assistant. "Urgent. Wallace Holdings' proposal came in last night. They want Carter Global's partnership for the downtown project. $500 million on the table. Shall I stall until after your event?" Elena's heart slowed. So that's what this was. Andrew's family, so sure of their superiority, didn't even realize their empire's biggest future deal depended on her. They had been mocking, laughing, belittling the very person who held their future in her palm. The music swelled. The guests rose. Elena slipped her phone into her clutch and tightened her grip on the bouquet. Step by step, she walked down the aisle, every eye fixed on her. Some eyes admired, some judged, some pitied. But Elena's eyes, they never wavered. Halfway down the aisle, she noticed Victoria smirk at her, whispering something to a cousin. A ripple of quiet laughter followed. Andrew didn't notice. He was too busy smiling at the priest, too busy imagining the moment he'd say, "I do." Elena kept walking, her face calm but unreadable. Behind the veil, her mind raced. The whispers of last night, the venom of Andrew's mother, the arrogance of the entire family. It all converged into one sharp truth. This wasn't just about a wedding. This was about power. And in a few short moments, the Wallace family would finally learn who Elena Carter really was. The hush in the ballroom was heavy as Elena reached the altar. Andrew took her hand, smiling proudly, as though the entire room adored her. The priest began the ceremony, his deep voice echoing between marble walls and golden chandeliers. Elena's heart didn't race. Her palms weren't sweaty. She was steady, calmer than she had ever been, because she knew something the rest of the room didn't. The priest asked Andrew to repeat his vows. He did, grinning, the family nodding approvingly. When it was Elena's turn, the priest turned to her with a gentle smile. "Elena Carter, do you take Andrew Wallace to be your lawfully wedded husband?" The room leaned forward, waiting. But Elena didn't answer. She lifted her veil slowly, her dark eyes locking with Andrew's. Then she turned, not to him, but to the Wallace family seated in the front rows. Her voice was clear, sharp, and it cut through the silence. "Before I answer, I want to address something." Whispers rippled instantly. Andrew blinked, confused, squeezing her hand. "Elena, what are you?" She pulled her hand away. Calmly, she continued. "For days now, I've heard the whispers, the laughter, the insults. You've mocked my dress, my background, even my very presence in this family. You've made it clear that you see me as less than you." The family shifted uneasily, murmurs rising. Victoria folded her arms, her smirk faltering. Elena took a breath, her voice steady. "What none of you know is that I let you believe your version of me. I let you think I was an outsider, unworthy of your name. But here's the truth." She turned slightly, looking directly at Andrew's mother. "My name is Elena Carter, heiress of Carter Global Industries, the very company your family is desperate to partner with for your next big development project, the $500 million downtown deal." Gasps broke through the crowd. A man in the back dropped his champagne glass with a sharp crack. Andrew's father stiffened visibly, color draining from his face. Elena's gaze swept across them, her voice sharper now. "Yes, that deal. The one your board submitted a proposal for last night, the one awaiting my signature. And while you sat in your mansions laughing at me, mocking me, I held your family's future in my hands." Andrew's mouth opened, but no words came. His eyes darted to his parents, then back to Elena, realization dawning too late. Elena lifted her bouquet slowly, then lowered it to the floor. Her hands were free now. "And you know what?" she said coldly. "I'm not signing it. Consider your $500 million deal cancelled." The room erupted. Gasps, shouts, chairs scraping. Andrew's mother shot to her feet. "You can't." "I can," Elena cut in sharply. Her voice was like ice. "And I just did." Victoria's smirk was gone now, replaced with wide-eyed panic. Andrew's father whispered harshly to his brother, already thinking about the collapse this meant for their empire. Andrew reached for Elena's arm, his voice breaking. "Elena, please, don't do this. I love you." She stepped back, shaking her head. "If you loved me, Andrew, you would have defended me. You would have stood up for me when your family tore me down. But you stayed silent. You chose comfort over courage. That tells me everything I need to know." Silence crashed over the room again. Guests stared, frozen, unsure if they were witnessing a wedding or a public execution of pride. Elena stood tall, her brown skin glowing under the chandelier light, her presence undeniable. She turned once more to the stunned family. "You wanted someone from your world. Congratulations. You'll get exactly that. Just not me." She dropped the veil completely, turned and walked back down the aisle. Alone, strong, unapologetic. The Wallace family sat frozen, their empire suddenly shaken by the very woman they thought unworthy. And Elena Carter never looked back. The end. Please like and subscribe for more rich stories like this. Comment below. Also, if you really loved this video and want to support the channel directly, you can hit that super thanks button below.